recently reviewed the ROG Phone 7 Ultimate, Asus's top gaming phone. But now it's time for its brother, the regular ROG Phone 7. What's the difference here, and does it make more sense to get this one with its lower price? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our Asus ROG Phone 7 review. So far this year, Asus has come out with two ROG Phone 7 models, the regular version, which we're talking about today, and the ROG 7 Ultimate. Both of them set out to provide the most in-depth experience out there for hardcore mobile gamers. They're basically identical, except that the Ultimate brings a handful of extra goodies: a bundled cooling fan, a port for it to blow cold air into, and a rear display. We'll be comparing the ROG 7 to the Ultimate in this video. If you'd like a more in-depth look at the features, you can check out our ROG 7 Ultimate review. Both the vanilla model and the Ultimate bring the signature ROG phone design, with a curved back made from Gorilla Glass 3 and aluminum frame. You will notice that you don't have the portal window on the non-Pro version, or a rear screen. The finish is also a bit different in this version, but the ROG Phone 7 can also come in the same frosted white as the Ultimate. The rear ROG Vision display does add some extra spice to the Ultimate model. It can light up with static images or animations based on what's going on with the phone. It's quite customizable and fun to play around with, but as far as practical use goes, you can live without it. And it's not like the regular ROG 7 is that far behind. It has colorful LEDs on the back, and they're also customizable. The AeroActive portal has more potential to affect your gaming experience. It's a retractable window that only opens when you attach the AeroActive cooling fan accessory to allow better access for the cold air. The cooling fan comes bundled with the Ultimate edition of the phone, but here you'd have to buy it separately. It's quite advanced, with an electric Peltier element, extra gaming triggers, and a secondary air duct that cools the front side of the phone. There's even a subwoofer built in. If you do have the fan, our tests showed that it really makes a difference when it comes to the phone's thermal management. Another difference between the ROG 7 and the Ultimate has to do with the onboard storage. The Ultimate model comes with 512 gigs, while you can get the ROG 7 with 256 or 512. The lower storage option is of course much cheaper. Otherwise, the ROG Phone 7 and ROG Phone 7 Ultimate are much the same. They feature responsive gaming triggers, IP54 ingress protection, and a side port for extra connectivity. The display is the same too, a 6.78-inch AMOLED with a 1080p resolution, Victus protection, and a 165Hz refresh rate. You get HDR10+ support here, great color accuracy, and high max brightness, which matches the Ultimate models. As expected, the audio experience is also just as excellent here. There's both a headphone jack and a pair of loud front-facing stereo speakers with great audio quality.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare.
The ROG Phone 7 series uses ROG UI on top of Android 13. It's heavily customized and jam-packed with gaming-related features. You can find many of these features within a convenient in-game overlay. And there are even more found within the separate Armory Crate interface, where you can make custom profiles for individual games, all the way down to system-level tweaks and modifications. On top of that, Asus promises 2 major OS updates and 4 years of security patches for the ROG 7 generation. On to the chipset performance, and yes, again, it's basically the same on the ROG Phone 7 as on the Ultimate model. You get the current Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which packs both more power and better power efficiency than the previous chipset generation. Plus, there's support for the latest memory tech, including LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.0. In benchmarks, both the ROG 7 and 7 Ultimate deliver scores which are right up there near the top of the charts. They're among the most powerful Android phones you can get right now. Plus, on top of all that, the ROG Phone 7 series brings improvements in the passive cooling system, including a new rapid cycle vapor chamber and redesigned graphite sheets. This means you should get good thermal efficiency even without a cooling fan. During our prolonged stress tests, without the Gaming X mode enabled, the performance was still rather stable, dropping gradually over time with no sudden dips. With the X mode on, you do get less performance loss over time, but the phone got hot to the touch during testing. And then there's the ROG Phone 7's results with the cooling fan on, which enables X Mode Plus. The performance loss here was minimal, and the phone remained comfy to hold. But overall, despite the hype about the AeroActive portal opening up the Ultimate model for better cooling, we didn't observe a significant difference on this model, which doesn't have the portal. Still, you'd have to go out and buy the fan if you want to do long gaming sessions with no sacrifice to the performance. The ROG Phone 7 packs the same 6000 mAh battery as the Ultimate, and the battery life here is just as great, with an overall endurance rating of 131 hours in our tests. You also get 65-watt charging, which can top up the phone from 0 to 68% in half an hour. Finally, we have the cameras, again exactly the same as the Ultimate model. The rear setup consists of a 50-megapixel main camera, a 13-megapixel ultra-wide cam, and a 5-megapixel macro cam. The camera quality of the ROG 7 series is decent but won't blow anyone away. The focus here is gaming, not cameras. If you'd like to see a more in-depth camera analysis, again you can check out our ROG Phone 7 Ultimate video. So that's the ROG Phone 7. It provides the top-tier gaming-centric experience that ROG is known for at about the same price as a typical flagship. Compared to the more expensive Ultimate model, you don't get the rear screen or portal on the back, but those honestly seem more like gimmicks. The major differences are that you don't get the fan here, and the base storage tier is lower. So if you're fine with 256 gigs, you could save a decent chunk of cash over the Ultimate by getting this in the base model and buying the fan separately. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're on the lookout for alternatives to the ROG Phone 7, one option could be the Nubia Red Magic 8 Pro, or you could consider the Moto Edge 40 Pro. Let us know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one.